Dzień dobry wszystkim, wracamy po wakacjach, wypoczęci. Jest nas trójka. Dzisiaj z nami jest autor tej wspaniałej książki. O tak, zasłoniłem sobie mikrofon, bardzo inteligentnie. Tej wspaniałej książki, the Kubernetes Bible. So let's switch to English because you have already a lot of things to learn in your life. Not necessarily Polish is one of things which you should spend your time. So we would like to welcome you in our podcast and thank you very much for your time. And once again, this book, the Kubernetes Bible, which you co-authored, right, with Russ Kendrick, if I see this on the book, is quite big, right? So you can throw it and kill someone. Don't do it. But as we, let's say, we are in this field for many years, right? And always the Bibles were like this or even bigger, right? Because there is a lot of information, and really those kind of books cover, if not everything, well, this is not possible, that as most things as possible, right? To start and to lead people from being like newbie on the beginning to, I would say, like mid plus, not necessarily expert, because for being the expert you have to have some experience as well, right? So Gineesh, I hope I'm saying your name right? Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about this book, how it come to you to write this kind of big stuff, and why going into Kubernetes in this like broad perspective, especially that Kubernetes is with us for many years today, right? So one could think that everybody knows Kubernetes except me.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. First of all, thanks for the session. So I'm happy to be here. So the book actually is a kind of a long story because I was working with the back team on many other things as well in the back end. And this book was there in the market. They published already, and there was something we missed because Kubernetes evolving almost every second, not every day, every second, because a lot of contributors, the community is so big, and a lot of people are contributing, new features, bug fixes, everything. I agree, it's not easy to write a book on such an ever evolving kind of technology. So what we noticed, the book is a bit outdated because of the the way how it grows. So they were planning to do some kind of second edition, kind of a new edition with a new content to remove outdated content, etc. So we were planning to do it in a way. So after a few discussion, I just realized, I had to do it. I just volunteered myself, and the pact also, we had an agreement to proceed with the second edition. And Russ also joined. He was one of the authors for the first edition. He also joined and contributed a few chapters. So it was great because he's also an experienced guy. And we found we have to update the book with a lot of content. So actually we struggle to control the pages. Every time I was checking with the packed project manager, and we need to include this inside the book. Otherwise, the book will be, won't be full or something like that. But we try to include a lot of information, and we removed a lot of duplicated or not so useful content, but just referenced a few. Then like a replication controller to replicate set, and few other things like that. So that's a 700-page story in a high level. Took some time, almost a year, to complete the book. Yeah. Correct.
So let's rant a little bit about Pact, of course, in funny way, because this is what I experienced as well. They limit our creativity, right? So this is the number of the pages you should write about this topic, not more. Yes, but of course, I'm laughing here because they know what they're doing, right? We of course have always something more to say about the different topics, right? So I want to start with some controversy from my side. Because when I start to read this book, you went through history of the, let's say, internet / cloud / things like that. And I thought, come on, I know much more than there is in this book. And you just start to give some very little information. And then I realized, okay, I'm in this field for 30 years, right? So I know those things like from my own experience. And this is not the book about the history. It's just the setting the ground. So I think you did very good work in this hard topic, really, to explain from where Kubernetes come, why it's there, and so on and so on and so on. So let me challenge here a little bit, because as I said, what I thought on the beginning, do you think you missed something in this part for the history of Kubernetes and why Kubernetes looks now how it looks now? I know it's a tricky question.
Yeah, you mean inside the book or in terms
yes,
of
inside in the book and in the history part, right? So in this introduction to the topic.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure, but I know a lot of information might be there, but not available to the public, or maybe not everyone aware of that. So how we did it, actually, we talked to a lot of people around. We asked them about, okay, we are planning to update this book as second edition, and we want to make sure we include maximum details as much as possible. We want to give the credit to the community heroes, because they were there. That's why we have Kubernetes now. So this is all based on the information available publicly, or written somewhere, at least like at least in the Git repository to see who contributed, the community and all. So yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest, but whatever available in the public, available over internet, and based on the experience or some information shared by the people in the community, we have included those information. Yeah, not sure. To be honest, not sure.
So let me answer for you. It's enough. It's enough to what you've done. There is a couple of pages about the history, not too much.
Thank you.
And for those people who are new to the field and start reading like from almost zero, it should be much more than enough. What I like is that you cover the installation of Kubernetes and Kubernetes-like tools and whole ecosystem on your machine. But honestly, as a Docker captain, I have to complain a little bit, because you didn't mention too much about Docker desktop, as Docker desktop has this Kubernetes inside. So maybe for third edition, who knows? Anyway, to go through let's say the structure of the book, I really like that you put a lot of visual perspective as well. So here you can see, I hope, maybe not. I'm just trying to see if people see. So yes, now it's better. There is a lot of diagrams with not straight arrows. I'm like crazy about straight arrows, but that's me. But anyway, very well explaining the concept of architecture, of internal architecture of the Kubernetes, and how it really works. And I'd like to ask you about the structure of the book in terms of the content, because when I went through the table of content, few times I had the feeling that I missed something, in one by one line, but there is another chapter about this. So how did you plan this book, and what was in your head when you designed the content? And well, we know to whom, like on the top high level, to whom you address this book, but who should read this book, really?
Yeah. Okay. So before we planned this book, actually, I was talking to a lot of people in the community. So we have like active Kubernetes user group here. run by a few organizers. I'm not an organizer, but I'm part of this community most of the time. And most of the time, I'm hearing the same complaint. They are looking for the learning path. There is no path. I mean, maybe you'll see some roadmap thing. It's something you have to do it and practice and find the missing pieces and learn it. And there is no fixed curriculum. So let's say some people are like, they already know Linux, then they can do it easily. If you don't know Linux, actually, please learn something, at least the basics. So what we have done, okay, we cannot teach Linux in a Kubernetes book, but we mentioned that, okay, it's kind of a basic knowledge you should have because it's running on top of Linux most of the time. I mean, 99% of the things. So we thought, okay, it should be structured for, at least like this category, like a category 1, category 2, category 3 kind of people. There can be cloud engineer, there can be the basic sysadmins becoming Kubernetes admin because that's a new platform. And we structured in that way. Some of the chapters even we shuffled here and there based on the feedback from the technical reviewers. They say it's good to explain this before we explain the topic B. So we have shuffled a lot actually here and there to make sure the people will get a kind of a flow. I mean, they should not like, oh, what is this talking about? Okay, I need to go back to the chapter B and come back kind of thing. So it's there, still there, because no choice. We have some dependencies, like again, chicken problem. We have to talk about egg first or chicken first kind of scenario. So we tried our best to make it a good flow. So the reader will get some idea. Oh, okay, he's talking about replication control, replication or replicate set, and it will be explained in the next chapter. So I need to go and read it if I want to learn it right now. So I think we try our best to reference the chapter details. Like if you want to know more about this specific topic, please go and check the chapter X. We already explained it with some labs and demos, so you will read that. So this is how we structure. And of course, it's a big team, of course, and they all contributed a lot. They share their feedback, honest feedback. They say, oh, this one should be here, or this one can be moved to here and here kind of flow. So it was a good teamwork.
Yeah. The thing is that, of course, you address this book to some specific group of people, right? So if someone is picking this book to learn Kubernetes, it is perfect. We, as experienced people, we always have our own directions here. So that's why I'm asking, right? And, what I learned from John Willis really is to, let's say, a little bit boldly judge the book not by the table of content when I picked the book for the first time, but through the index. And what I observed, that you have a lot of information about security in Kubernetes. We come to this a little bit later. And what you've done, you split this, let's say, learning paths into 4 different, I would say, drawers, because you can read this book and learn how to work with Kubernetes on-prem or in the managed services in the big 3 cloud providers, right? So AWS, Azure, and GCP. I wonder, and this is the question, which part was the hardest for you to go through? So which cloud is the worst? And I know it's a tricky question again. And the second one, did you consider any other players, like smaller clouds, maybe to include in the future editions or something like that?
Yes, thanks for that question, actually. So based on my experience from the field, when I talk to the end users, okay, the actual Kubernetes user, they might be using different flavors of Kubernetes. It can be cloud version, it can be on-prem version, or it can be something like OpenShift. It can be anything. So what I noticed, everyone is facing a lot of problems, and there is no perfect solution for that.
True.
So they have to find their own flavor suitable for them. So it's not like, okay, everyone is using this X version of Kubernetes, I should go there. So we say, no, please find the perfect version for you, perfect flavor for you, because it's not about deploying it or doing that is about day two, a lot of maintenance, etc., and of course cost. So for the basic things, what I noticed actually managing the on-prem Kubernetes, because the players in that area, it's the players right now, the on-prem Kubernetes. So there are a lot of conversations about the pricing, about the support, about how you're going to get the in terms of vulnerabilities, fixes, a lot of things actually. So what we have tried in this book actually to make sure everyone should be able to experience Kubernetes without worrying about am I running on my laptop or workstation or on-prem or cloud. So we deliberately included these cloud chapters. Actually, thanks to Russ, he contributed all those cloud chapters, very detailed. Like if someone is like they want to learn Kubernetes and they have some cloud credits, they don't need to worry about the labs, because we are not talking about the Kubernetes like a Kubernetes you have to install all these things. It's more like a Kubernetes, how you're going to manage the Kubernetes and what are the security aspects, what are the things you need to worry about day two in terms of maintenance, management, and so on. So we tried in that way rather than focusing on specific product. We mentioned everything like a GKE or these cloud-based services where you have this freedom to manage everything without worrying about the underlying infrastructure and all. So, and also we mentioned about the other products like OpenShift, where you have like an air capped environment, like or a zero internet environment, where you have no choice to think about the clouds. So that's how we structured to make sure this book will be useful for everyone who just want to learn and understand and experience Kubernetes. That was the main plan.
Yeah, exactly. This book is already like 700 pages big, right? So you cannot, you can write something what has 2,000 pages, but
If I may, Gineesh.
Of course you may.
Thanks, mate. Well, so Gineesh, imagine the situation that you are a newbie in Kubernetes and you are a newcomer to DevOps area, and you are reading your book, the Kubernetes Bible. We already know books like Tenenbaum's operating systems, networks. These are Bibles for Linux operating system networks as well. So, and when you read these books, you have a lot of questions. You don't understand, let's say 70% if you're a newcomer to IT industry, but it is a great start. Let's be honest. And then you look for explanation what these tasks and what these things do. So if you were a newbie, what would you tell to that person who is a newcomer and who just read your book? What would you say to that person?
You mean about my book?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we have, what we have tried, I don't know how it worked.
Yeah.
So what we have tried to make sure this book should be useful. Should be able to help someone. They want to learn Kubernetes, so they don't know anything about Kubernetes. That's why we included the history, how it's done, and we started with the small steps like we talk about the containers. We talk about the bare metal servers, virtual machines. So if someone asks me, a lot of people ask me, they say, I don't know anything about Kubernetes. Is it useful for me at all? Of course, it's useful because we are explaining A to Z of Kubernetes, what you want to learn. Of course, the advanced topics we cannot cover, unfortunately. It should be another book. It should be like a Bible volume 1, volume 2, like that. So, so for me, yes, this based on the feedback from the community, I can say they are happy. Most of them say, it helped me a lot to understand a lot of missing concept. They are already like a Kubernetes certified admins or developers, but they found they were following a specific curriculum, but that's good for the exam and to understand what exactly the Kubernetes is. But in a book, actually, you have more freedom to explain a lot of information, write a lot of information, right? Yeah. So yes, I think for me, it's a good book. We tried our best to make it like a good book for a beginner in Kubernetes area, want to learn what is Kubernetes and how to use it and what are the options available for them to deploy and manage it. Not like we didn't discuss a lot of day two stuff inside. Unfortunately, we couldn't due to the page limit. Even we removed some of the chapters. They were like a fillers, I told, like optional. So whatever optional actually we removed. No choice.
So come on. Yeah, definitely.
Hope I answered the question.
Oh yeah, you did. Well, there is no perfect answer, but it's just an answer. Everyone would say something else, but that's what I wanted to hear from you.
Exactly.
And if I
this
may,
is our people aspect, right, of it.
Yeah, exactly. That's our people aspect. Yes. We are humans. And okay, another thing, if I may, what do you believe? Please be honest with us. If you had the opportunity to change that book, you've got the opportunity to create the third edition in about a year or two. What would you add? What would you cut down? And what you really are not happy about that book? And what are you really happy about that book?
Okay, good one. So if there is a chance for another edition or something like there is an improved version, I think what I noticed actually we can remove a lot of content from the deployment part because you have tools available to quickly deploy it and nobody is using the Minikube for, this is purely development. So you can cover that in a 1 page or 2 page. But we are focusing on the, beginners as well to understand like what is it, how to prepare a small Kubernetes cluster or multi-node Kubernetes cluster or multi-master Kubernetes cluster using Minikube, because if we ask them to use a KubeADM or some other tools, I can see they will stop learning. They say, oh, I don't have a lab to practice. I don't have a playground to practice anything. That's why we spend some time on this kind of, small lab-based learning. But yeah, I think that part we can optimize a bit. And I really want to include a lot of security thing because you can see a lot of issues now because we are using Kubernetes as a kind of a de facto platform for all the applications. But still, we are struggling with the security part because there are a lot of layers. You have a virtualization layer, you create a VM, then you have a network layer, then you have a Kubernetes container layer, and on top of that, you have a network, the policies, CNIs, and all. So most of that I can see we are not able to explain that because of the limitations, and people are they just learn, okay, this is how it works, that's it. They will struggle when they have a troubleshooting session because they don't know how the packets are going here and there. So that one actually I really feel like, okay, we should have kind of a luxury to include more and more security topics. That's the first thing. Second one is the governance part. So it's just like a deploying and managing all. So you should be able to explain something on the governance part, how you should be managing the clusters, how should be managing this, multi-site deployments. What are the options available? At least like we cannot say we have a product called A or B or C because there are a lot of open source projects available to manage this multi-site cluster, including DC, DR capabilities, and so on. So I think if we can include those information, I feel like it would be great. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That would mean that the book would be about 1,000 of sites. But yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, so volume 2 is so Pact guys, if you are listening, volume 2 is highly expected. So you mentioned already that was a good question and very good answer from you about deployments, toolings, and so on, because I wanted to touch this topic as well, because when I go through, of course, through the content as well, but when I go through the index, you tell in the book about some tools, right? Different one like Linkerd, etcd. Of course, etcd is like a part of Kubernetes, so you have to different ones. However, for example, I don't see anything about Argo CD, about kubectl, things like that, right? So exactly, you just answered this question really to me. So maybe exactly volume 2 or some another element for this. So in terms of updates, which I see which will be needed for the third edition, you mentioned, I think, even a couple of times in the book, Bitnami images, right? So you use them. So recent changes in the Bitnami probably will kind of force you when the third edition come to change, right? In terms of different approaches to automation, you also touched a lot infrastructure as code tools, right? Pulumi, Terraform, and so on and so on and so on. Why not OpenTofu?
Okay,
I'm asking because from my personal, interest, because I was in the team creating OpenTofu. So.
Oh, okay. Okay, thanks for sharing that. Actually, thanks for asking that question. So it was nothing about the OpenTofu for Terraform thing. It's just like we were trying to. It's based on the feedback, right? I did some kind of an internal kind of a I don't know how to say it. Like it's like also a survey. I was talking to a lot of people, asking them, okay, I'm planning to do this, and we are planning to. Up to that time, I was not planning to do that. It was there, of course, but I was not sure whether I should include a lot of details about OpenTofu and also the Terraform part. So what we had done is like just mention the well-known tools.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it. Even the Argo CD, similar. I know, I love that tool. That's my kind of a favorite. And so we tried to include a few chapters or a few content, but we removed some of the part because of the limitation again. Thought, okay, we should, it's all based on the feedback, technical feedback, and also the feedback. We found, okay, better we just focus on the Kubernetes and limit the pages. There are some practical limitations as well. Really, that's why I was like, if there is a new version, of course, we have to talk about all these tools because these are great for, the one I spoke about earlier, like the multi-site setup, automated provisioning, automated configurations, a lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thanks for that question.
And another one which I have, I've just randomly opened the book on the page where you explain what carpenter is. And this is the chapter when you speak about scaling, like horizontal, vertical, and things like that, right? So carpenter is, I would say, like mentioned by you. It's something like, hey, there is a tool like that. You can go to the page, read about this, and that's all, right? So you didn't want, in my opinion, you didn't want to dig deeper into this, like, let's call it third-party tools to Kubernetes, right? You wanted to keep what you said before. You wanted to keep the audience focused on, let's call it native tools for Kubernetes, right?
Kind of, yeah. So I was trying to focus on mostly the Kubernetes native tools. Of course, we just mentioned, okay, we have tools available, and we know the big, the like periodic table kind of diagram where we have all the tools available. So we try to explain some of the well-known community projects or tools that people are using around the globe. And we just mentioned, okay, just for the beginners or the learners to understand, okay, there are some tools available. You should explore more. And that was the plan.
Question: when I suppose you had some troubles with how to go into this topic is networking, because today all of us probably see that networking is concept which is not necessarily well understood by the, let's say, newcomers to our area, right? If we are in the field for, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 or more years, we had to work a little at least with the networking. We had to understand networking. We had to understand what routing is, and so on and so on and so on and so on, right? Today, many people even don't know really how to work with Linux, not mentioning networking. And when you go especially through the clusters themselves, multi-cluster setups, and so on and so on, networking becomes more and more important. So what was your approach here to provide enough information to people that they start to understand at least the mess which is behind the doors, and still having in mind that there are people who understand network as this kind of cable or Wi-Fi and nothing more?
Yeah, it was like the same thing like Linux. So in the book, actually, we couldn't explain a lot of network basic concepts, but we
True.
just yeah, we just
I
try
confirm that.
yes, we try to tell them indirectly that you should learn Linux, should learn networking. That's a core. So Linux and networking is the core. So if you don't know anything about other items like storage or other, and it's a matter, but Linux and networking. So whenever someone say I want to learn Kubernetes, I say learn Kubernetes, but before you learn Kubernetes, try to learn at least 5 days. You learn Linux and understand what exactly it is, why Linux is there, and why we are talking about containers, the native containers, and so on. Like not the box in a box kind of setup. So actually, I struggle a lot while writing the CNI, all those chapters. I was not sure how to explain this. I mean, I cannot put that like as you know. No, I cannot do that. Then actually, I struggle a lot, and I even check with the team. Okay, can we include some chapters? I don't think it was possible. Because we are talking about Kubernetes, suddenly we cannot switch to a network basic topics about what is IP address, MAC address, the OS layers. It was not easy. So yeah, I think we were focusing on mostly the Kubernetes thing, kind of a expectation that okay, the learners already know, or at least they will learn network because they know, oh, this is also important, because without proper, I mean, at least the basic networking information, I won't be able to survive here. I mean, they can ask ChatGPT or they can ask something else and manage it, but that's not the way. They should be able to handle, or at least understand, oh, this packet is not going here. That's why the communication is not there. And at least what is DNS, why it's not, working, etc. So we just discuss about, I mean, mostly like that kind of information, like how the DNS work in Kubernetes, why it's important, what are the DNS methods you should learn about. I mean, yeah, we just try to cover all those topics. Yeah, we couldn't cover the networking.
Still, this is this big
Exactly.
book, and it's not about the networking, right? So you should have some basics.
So if I may, so guys, if you were a newcomer to DevOps industry and to IT and industry, would you advise someone to read your book, Gineesh, from start, having totally no knowledge? Or would you advise that person, as you already said, you would advise that person to spend at least 5 days on Linux, etc. But would you really advise someone to read your book, or just tell that person, hey, maybe you should just learn a bit about math, about Linux, about operating systems, do some stuff around networking, configure some switches, configure some BGP sessions, configure some interfaces, run some containers, and then move on to something which orchestrates everything you just learned. So that sounds reasonable, but would you really do this? Do this? Because I've met a few people who are telling them others, you know what, just move on, go on to deep water and do things, start doing things, and that works as well. So what would be your approach?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes it works.
Thanks. Yeah. So most of the time, actually, it's not about the book. Actually, when I get a kind of a message from community like LinkedIn or Slack or some other channel, so when they talk about the Kubernetes or they want to learn Kubernetes, of course they will say, I want to be DevOps engineer, SRE kind of thing. I told, okay, I'm not a career advisor, but I can share what you should do. So most of them start with some Kubernetes course, and they after 1 week, 2 weeks, they say, I don't know what exactly they're talking about. Of course, they also have limitations similar to the book. Actually, they cannot talk about Linux in a Kubernetes course, so they will be talking about packets, IP address, MAC address. So this one will be like, IP address I know. MAC address maybe I know because I connect to Wi-Fi, then I can see that physical address, but nothing on over, because they say there is an issue, then how can I explain? So I told, this is a problem because we have a lot of things to learn and people do a lot of shortcuts. They skip the basic and directly they try to join like a DevOps engineer, in the first year or second year of after their bachelor's degree and all. So I told them, okay, it's not a bad thing, but if you want to survive and if you want to grow, you have to learn something, the very basic one. You don't need to spend 6 months at least learn what is there, like a Linux, why it's there.
I totally agree. Mhm.
Yeah, then every day you will practice and automatically you will learn it, because most of them are using Mac OS. So okay, you are actually technically using kind of a Unix Linux, but you won't be doing anything command line. You will be doing the mouse and some touchpad. So try to use a Linux flavor as your workstation. Then you will learn Linux automatically. You will use at least the ls minus ls some commands. Then automatically you will understand what is the file tree, what is the file tree structure, the disk, how to do this kind of stuff. So just try some well-known flavors with a GUI, like I don't know, Fedora or Ubuntu. It can be anything, doesn't matter. It's all about Linux. So you should be able to manage the packages, yum install, dnf install, rpd install. Within 2 weeks, you will learn a lot of commands. Otherwise, you are not going to learn. You just read and you will leave it. So try to do that. Networking part, again, it's very difficult because we cannot ask them to go for a CCNA course or something like that. We say, okay, just learn the basics. There are some free courses available from some of the well-known vendors. So it's free. You just understand what is the OS layer, the 7 layers, what is TCP IP, just the basic. I mean, you just read and understand. If you already learn in college, it's good. Otherwise, just the basic thing. At least you should be able to run some ping command or some basic commands to understand how it's working, how to trace the packets from source to destination. Usually, I advise this.
It will make the troubleshooting easier.
Exactly. So you need to know, because a lot of layers are there. So when you say HTTP, this curl command, you have no idea where it's going and what is happening, because a lot of protocols involved, a lot of packets involved, a lot of packages involved. So we tell them, okay, this is how you have to practice. And then you try to understand, you read that same Kubernetes chapters again, then you will see, oh, this is how it works. Why there is a DNS service inside Kubernetes, what is the purpose? Or why there is a service layer involved, what is the purpose? Why you need a load balancing inside the Kubernetes, what is the purpose? Because everything is talking about the services. After all, talking about the applications and how you can serve the application without downtime or fault tolerance kind of setup. So usually I say that. So for the Kubernetes book, I will not say that you have to learn this, but I say please try to learn and understand what exactly the Linux thing, what exactly the networking thing, and if possible, try to understand the core stuff. It's not like you should be the SME. At least you should understand there is not one tool. Actually, there are multiple tools available to manage the containers. Kubernetes is just orchestrated, so there are a lot of underlying stuff like container management tools available. So you should at least read about it. Just Google and find it, what exactly this is and why we are using a specific engine inside Kubernetes and what are the alternatives available. So this is what usually I suggest, because the book cannot cover everything. Book is just talking about the Kubernetes as a Kubernetes topic, and
All right.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. So when you buy this book, there is also a great training on Killer Coda for Linux. By accident, the author of this training is just speaking to you now. So go there and use it. This will give you some basics to understand better how Kubernetes really works, because this is like you said, it's the foundation, right?
Yeah.
Right. And going through the content. And the table of content, I see some pattern how you did this, right? And I would say even it's like a CEO pattern. So when you have some topic, for example, let it be launching your first job, right? You explain what are jobs first. Then you go through the creation, management, and finally through the deletion of it. So was it something what you decide to do, like consciously, let me say it this way, or it just how it just went for you?
No. So what we have done actually to make sure. So we have many cases. This is based on my previous book experience as well, the Ansible book. Most of the time, if you don't mention the cleanup part, they won't do it. They will forget it.
Sure.
Yeah, this is true.
So they asked them. So in my previous book, I asked them to create the cloud-based lab, of course, using the free tier credits in different cloud platforms. And one of the guy actually pinged me, and I forgot to stop the instances. I thought, still it's okay to have one VM most of the time. But this guy was running like almost 10, 20 VMs to replicate his setup. And actually, I think you know the story. So we decided to make sure, okay, even the jobs running, because sometimes you can see when you schedule like a cron job or something, they can see while running, they found a lot of pods are running in that kind of scenario. So you thought, okay, better once you finish talking about the cron job or jobs, you thought, okay, this is the way you clean up. So it's like it's part of the learning, like you have to do this as part of the cleaning. Once you're done, please delete kind of a structure. It's like we just included like a half page for doing the cleanup as well, to make sure they follow the standard practice. Because most of the time you can see, I mean, I'm talking about the protection. They create a project, then nobody will delete it. Then the Kubernetes admin or OpenShift admin will come see, there is a project, no owner. There is no annotation. There is nothing. So can you delete it? No, cannot. There are running pods. So you have no idea whether there are services running. Somebody created this for testing. No, we don't know. There is no hyphen test. There is no staging tab. So you have no idea kind of scenario. I found it many places. And you list the kubectl get namespace. You can see like thousands of namespaces. You have no idea who on that. So we were following that to ensure, okay, they clean up these namespaces, they clean up these jobs, they clean up these deployments. That's why I think most of the chapters we included the cleanup part as well as part of the last task. Somewhere we clearly mentioned, okay, you have to delete it before you go to the next phase to avoid any other issues. Because sometimes if you're running like a 10, 20 ports, maybe the lab is maybe some 4 GB or 6 GB, we don't know the laptop size, then they will feel like slowness and it will be a problem, right? So
exactly. And to prove that this conversation is unscripted, when you mentioned crontab, I just opened the book on the crontab pages, and this is also the relation what we said about Linux and knowing the basics. Because, for example, here you attached the information how cron really looks, how it works, what it is, and as it is a basic tool in Linux and Unix, really, right?
Okay.
Adapted by other platforms and services to give, let's say, similar experience, right? And really use the underlying approach. It's important to understand the concepts. Right, we are going to the end of our time, honestly. So I have kind of, again, tricky question. I'm sorry, I love tricky questions. Rafał loves it even more.
I told you.
Yeah.
He's the biggest troll in the internet, really.
Yes.
So yeah.
So from your experience working with Kubernetes, from your experience working on this book, talking with other people for the feedbacks, how to write this, and also I'm sure you talked a lot with people after you wrote this book, because the first edition was published in 2022, so it's already like 3 years, right? So a lot of people read this book, and probably you receive a lot of feedbacks. So from this, what you've learned during the process and after writing this, what would be your 3 top best practices and like advices for people who start with Kubernetes?
Okay, so I'll say, I think it's not just Kubernetes. Most of our current the tools and projects, there is nothing like read and learn kind of tools available. You have to get your hands dirty, no choice. Because if you are just reading, and if you're just, reading is okay. Some people are okay, they can read and understand. But if we are not practicing, I don't think anyone will remember a single command after 3 months. If I ask them, if they are working on Kubernetes, it's okay. But if they are not getting the chance to work on Kubernetes, even if I'm doing nothing on the Kubernetes, I think I will forget the kubectl commands within 3 weeks or 4 weeks. So my advice is to try to join the community, try to participate in the community, because even if you're working on Kubernetes in your day job, like you are a Kubernetes admin, I think based on my experience, Kubernetes or OpenShift or Ansible, I feel like almost 80% of the learning is happening from the community. In your workplace, actually, you are seeing almost every day, you are seeing the similar problems, maybe some different error, different things. But in the community, you can see the people are doing a lot of things with the Kubernetes and also other products related to Kubernetes. They have millions of problems. We never thought about, okay, they can use this kind of way. So this is how I learned. Most of the time, I spend time on these kind of channels. Like it can be Slack, it can be Discord, it can be Telegram, doesn't matter. We can see the people working with the Kubernetes and also other, projects related to the Kubernetes, and they are facing these kind of issues because they are trying to implement some things very specific. So when I read that, I find, oh, yeah, we can learn a lot of things. If I know the answer, I will reply. Otherwise, I will go and read and understand it. So most of the time, if someone is just starting their Kubernetes journey, I will say, yeah, please attend the course, please read the book, please learn Linux, but please involve in the community. You will see a lot of things happening in the community, because even with the Kubernetes, people can do a lot of stuff. They are using Kubernetes for now. We are talking about AI, ML workloads. We never thought about running this AI, ML workload on top of Kubernetes. We are talking about the microservices. Now we are loading like a heavy workload on top of Kubernetes. That's a capability, right? So we ask them, okay, please, because it's evolving and the capability is like, I don't know, it's like an infinite. So be involved in the community. And like it can be meetups, it can be channels, it can be discussion, it can be anything.
Okay.
Yeah, I really love the project you've created in a couple of times, I think, but it came to my eyes right now that your cluster is called Hilarious Wardrobe. So I really like that.
Okay, thank you.
So as Rafał mentioned, I am a troll. So let me stand with this title. Are you sure all this code is working?
Okay. Most of them, yes. And I have to check with my technical reviewer as well. So by writing that time, actually, okay, I have to share that. So during the writing process, we start with the Kubernetes version 1.28, I remember, if I'm not mistaken. Then we found, okay, 1.29, 1.30, 1.31, then okay, we had to stop it because we had to release the book. So we managed to update until I think 1.31. Then I think some places we clearly told, okay, this is like at the time of writing, yeah, this is the version, this is the command. Some of the options, like they duplicated and removed from the kubectl commands. So yeah, I think I believe most of them are working, and even I tested the GitHub repository. I think I fixed a few. I'm still like checking that if anyone is sharing like issues or PRs. Yeah, it was difficult, to be honest. Even I informed the technical reviewer. There was a technical review. They go and check all these commands, whether it's working or not. Is something like a wrong with the commands or parameters. Maybe we copy paste something wrong. It can be anything, right? Like a hyphen.
Can happen, of course.
Yeah.
I told them, please make sure it's working. Yeah. And what we have tried is actually include all of those commands in GitHub repository, so people can maybe they can copy paste. If they they type, they will make mistake or okay. But still, I will say don't copy paste because you will not learn. Try to type the commands so you will understand what exactly you are typing. All right. Yeah. It will fetch you like at least once like in the brain. So yeah, that's what we're in. I hope all of them are working, but we will update in the repository if there's a mistake, please.
I mean, I'm asking this more for the, having a joyful discussion, because what is also the power of Pakt as a publisher. They always, or almost always, have repositories with the code included in the book, and so on and so on and so on. So if you want to work on the code, you should really go through also the GitHub repository. And as you said, don't copy it. Just write the commands by yourself. This helps a lot to memorize them. And also, I know it is frustrating. I'm author myself, right? And I know that I can do the typos as well and things like that. It happens. We are just people, right? And I'm sure you did exactly the same what we done during writing our books. Reading 10 times and 11 and 12 and 165 times, and then still is something what you can find. That's why we have repos really to fix this.
Yeah.
But there is one thing. When you write a book with commands inside, just like you do in Pakt, And I had same issue. You have to impersonate two clients, let's call people who are reading our books are clients. We need to impersonate two types of people. People who are running these comments and people who are not.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because when you impersonate only the person who is running these comments, you presume that some output of these comments is already known and you mention about that output in your book.
Yeah, correct.
And for a person who is only reading this book, for example, in plane or something, they just get a total mindfuck. So yeah.
Yes, that's why. Thank you for mentioning that, because on this page, for example, there is a lot of outputs, right? So you included those outputs for those who doesn't have computers; they're just buying books, right?
Yeah.
So they just understand what's going on, but write those commands. And I know that is frustrating when you just copy the command from the book and it doesn't work, but treat it also as a fantastic learning path.
So,
Yeah.
Gineesh,
Yeah.
at the end of our podcast, okay, but please move on. But I will have 3 fast questions. You will need to say first thing that comes to your mind. But please, okay. So first question, choose one.
I am a troll, right?
Yeah, Azure, GCP, AWS, or on-prem.
Sorry, what is the question? Sorry, I missed that.
Azure,
Time for
GCP.
thinking.
Yeah, you're cheating. Okay, so Azure, GCP, AWS, or on-prem.
In general.
In general, first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay, for me, it's more like GCP.
One word. Okay, one word, GCP. We're moving on. Okay, so Kubernetes on-prem or Kubernetes in cloud?
On-prem.
On-prem. Okay. IT 10 years ago, IT now.
A lot of learning resources available. That's the difference.
One word. 10 years ago.
Learning is easy. Learning is easy or easy learning.
Okay, and AI or DevOps?
AI.
All right, that's good. That's good. Thank you.
That's definitely concludes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Gineesh, thank you very much for your time
Thank you very much. Thank you.
your whole insights about the writing process, the book itself, how you see current landscape. Hopefully, we will see more books from you. From Pact, we know that we will see. Let us know when you will publish something new. We would like to have you again and talk about this. I promise I will be better troll at the time than I'm now. Yeah, to everyone who is watching and listening to this episode, maybe watching, because now I'm showing the book again, the Kubernetes Bible by Gineesh and Russ, published by Pact, the 2nd edition. Heavy, big, a lot of good content inside. So yeah, strongly recommended for you out there who want to learn and maybe improve your knowledge about Kubernetes.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for having me for this session. Actually, so I think I was able to answer a lot. I was laughing most of the time.
Oh, and send regards to Russ from us as well. If you're
Yes,
Russ,
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you so much.
So this is the end of our podcast. And thank you, Gineesh, again. And we're switching to our language to say goodbye. Dziękujemy wszystkim serdecznie za obejrzenie i wysłuchanie naszego wywiadu z Gineeshem, który jest, ponownie pokazuję, autorem tej świetnej książki. Dziękujemy oczywiście też Paktowi za umożliwienie nam recenzji tej książki. Więcej nadejdzie wkrótce, za jakiś czas, kiedyś, w przyszłości.
Tak,
może.
Mamy jeszcze kilka recenzji w zanadrzu.
Tak jest.
Dokładnie.
I cóż, dziękujemy serdecznie. Jak mówiliśmy, wracamy po wakacjach. Oczekujcie coraz więcej treści z naszej strony. Będzie się działo.
Wracamy po wakacjach. Dzięki. Trzymajcie się mocno.
Do zobaczenia.
Hej, hej.